Hello, welcome back to school. uh, these are a couple books that I recently purchased for studying and getting better at stuff. So, this book, I'm in the middle of reading the arithmetic section. Actually, what I'm doing, because I've already read this section, the arithmetic section. I have a printout here. It's like super small, but I have a printout here, and I underlined a bunch of stuff and I wrote a bunch of stuff, and this is when I learned about like how you're supposed to teach like arithmetic from the beginning. So that's what I'm doing here. And there are, well, I'll show you in this book. This book is like a teacher resource. Like they have all sorts of studies, not studies, but disciplines in here. So let me see it. Like they've got the McGuffey readers, how to use those. They've got spelling. They've got eclectic penmanship. They've got arithmetic. And they've got, I can't even read that. What does that say? Geography? Yeah. I don't think I remember much from my geography class because I was in detention because I was showed up late. Yeah, I got detention in 7th grade. This is grammar. Yeah, they looks like grammar, history, darn Greek, physiology. Yeah, I think this is physiology. So they have a physiology section. So they have the book broken up into all these subjects. Ooh, and and they got writing, like cursive writing, which is cool. And they go through and they talk about how to teach these different subjects. And in this book, they're talking about in the mathematics how you're supposed to start with objects, teaching students how to recognize 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, all these numbers. And then here, this is an interesting little tidbit here. They're talking about that you could teach a student how you like rote memory, like reciting tables and things. You could teach them this rote repetition, but if they don't understand what the words mean, if they don't understand what 2 less 1 is, or 5 and 3, if they don't know what those words mean, then like your repetition is just gonna like go out the window. So that's like my little note here saying that you gotta use like objects, and then like actually doing the physical arithmetic as you're reciting tables. I don't think we've done that. It'd be interesting to see what happens if we try that. There's some other interesting things in here about year 1. They say not to use a textbook in the first course because it's just gonna get in the way. Like a lot of it is supposed to be oral, and taught with figures, not figures like numbers, but figures like object, like apples and balls and things like that. So yeah, and then this is interesting. This is where I learned about the exam when students come into an exam, or when they come into a class, they have an exam stroke assessment to see what the student knows. And that's where I learned about that, and it's like, wow, that makes sense. And here it says that you're basically doing it to I can't read what that says. I can't read what that first word is. Oh, there. Wow. So it says that you're supposed to place the students into grades or years according to their knowledge, and entirely independent of age. I found that very, very fascinating, because nowadays everything is done on age. You're 21, you can't be in school anymore, or whatever. You're 18, you can't be in school anymore. And then it just got all kinds of neat things in here. When I was going through this the first time, reading it on paper, I found the first 2 years extremely beneficial. When it got to the second or the third and fourth year, they start talking about like using 2 textbooks at the same time, like the Ray's arithmetic books, like the I think it was the practical and some other book, intellectual or something. And I don't have a problem with doing things like that, but because I couldn't, like, the contents were laid out not so friendly, I just thought, well, we're just gonna do the intellectual in year 3 and year 4, the other book. But these books are not mentioned in the eclectic manual, which is, they can't mention everything. But let's see. Okay, so this is a primary book. We're gonna go through that book later. Let's go through. I'm gonna go through this oral lessons. I have not yet looked at these books, so this is new for me as much as it is for you guys. This is the book that I like to I like to think of this as like a mental arithmetic warm-up type thing. Like when we go to a new number, like right now we're working with 6s. So I honestly don't know where we are. I think we're still in this book. So we would work through the 6s, and then when we get to the TFSN, wherever that book is, that one, because it's a lot more involved, I kind of think of that as like the main course of the main lesson course. So I'm doing this one-handed, and I don't want to, because I'm breaking in the book. Yeah. So here, this page, there should have been like a introductory page, and this page should be on that side. This page should be on the reverse side. Yeah. Things are just a little bit messed up here. So, you've got introductory stuff. There's a preface. And then there's more preface, reading. And then your contents. Now, this book, if I remember correctly, when I was trying to put the first couple years together, it helps me to understand, kind of set up like a system of pages and where it is we're going. Now, I know we're doing the first section. I cannot zoom in any further. I have horrible lighting right now. Okay, so we are doing this looks like a bunch of front matter reading. Principles and explanations. Yeah, this looks like just a bunch of front matter. Yeah, that's right, because there's a whole bunch of pages that talk about, like, what to do, what the purpose is, and all that other stuff. So this is the first year. So this book covers, theoretically, it covers 3 years, I believe. And I think that's about how we're gonna split it up, basically going by the years, if I remember correctly. But I know the first section is just dealing with the numbers, like 1 to 10. And that's pretty much all we're doing. We're just focusing on 1 to 10. And then year 2, it goes into more deeper aspects of adding. It goes from 11 to 20. And so you're learning all those numbers. And then, let's see. So year 3 continuing. Now this is year oral lessons in multiplication and division. Okay, this is at the end of year 2. So how I have it broken up is year 2 is split up into primarily like 3 big sections. So there's a section that deals with like these numbers, like 11 to 12, and then it goes it's got a bunch of tables from the eclectic manual book that deals with all the other numbers, subtracting and adding, borrowing and carrying, and robbing Peter to pay Paul, and all this other stuff that I totally don't understand. I don't know. There's one that says, I think it's like if you borrow, you have to return or lend. I don't know, lend back or something. They got some weird thing like that. I didn't learn that method because that was when they were doing the new math. Basically, you crossed out the numbers and then you wrote a number above, and it just, I didn't like it because it made the paper look messy. So now I don't do that. So then, so that's all the arithmetic thing in here. And then they've got other miscellaneous lessons. Oh, these are supplemental lessons that can be used. These could be used like on the blackboard. And then they've got like more miscellaneous. I believe these are miscellaneous. So these would be done in year 3, if I remember correctly. I'm still kind of working out the syllabus for year 2 and 3. And then your oral lessons, this is your reading section for like the teacher. I gotta zoom out again. So all of this is reading. If I could find a section, it's weird because the page numbers are on the inside of the book, which is not helpful if you're looking for a specific page. Yeah, so I am trying to find a number here and I cannot find it. And I don't know where to look because these pages are all whacked out. I think this looks like reading. Okay. Yeah, this is more reading. So here, this is where your lessons actually begin. So they talk, quickly about what the aim is and the steps of achieving that aim, which is kind of cool. I don't think we looked at these. Like, we just started with whatever the first lesson was. But I find this information really interesting. Yeah, I think we just started with lesson 1. And so this is pretty much like all of the stuff that the teacher reads. Or else you could like create your own stories, which is what teacher does. Which is kind of neat. It does make maths much more interesting. So this would be like a section that we would work through. And then here it says lesson 3, so I must have missed lesson 2 in there somewhere. I didn't even know that these were written out by lessons. It's just like, wow. So like here there's some like cursive writing. Sometimes we do that at the board. Like we'll do this as like a little board exercise, chalkboard exercise, which is kind of nice. But otherwise we're just using like manipulatives and things like that. So currently this table does not look familiar. That's probably later on in the book. I don't even know where we are. Let's see. So this is another steps to completing something. I'm trying to find something that represents numbers here. This is lesson 2. So this John may take 2 books in his right hand. Sounds like subtraction or something. I don't know what this is, but I'm gonna have to look through here and actually see where we are. Oh, here's a lesson. Lesson 11, no, numbers 11 to 15. So this is going to be covered next year. So I would need to see exactly where we are in this book, but as you go through the book, there's tables. I've gone through some of these textbooks, and they'll actually take out the sign. Like they'll say like 3, and then there's a question mark, and then there's a 2, and then there's an equals, and then there's a 5, and you have to know how that answer got there. It's like, oh my gosh. It definitely does make your brain think differently than what we're taught in schools nowadays. Well, I should say what we're not taught. Definitely, I would say this is a solid way for anyone. Even if you want to just do brain work, this is good brain work. So that is the oral lessons. In this book, it covers about 3 years of material. And that's about what we're going to it's going to cover about 3 years. So this is the first steps in number, which is this is like a teacher's manual book. there is a student book, which I did find like shortly, like a day after I put these on order. I found that there is a student book for this oral lessons in numbers, so I'm gonna see if I can get that later. I don't think I'll need it like right away, but like when we get into year 2, I'd like to have it because it does have a lot of really good stuff in it. Okay, so this is the first steps in number. Now, this is a really interesting book because there's a series of like 3 of them that I found online. There's first steps in numbers, or first step in number, it's not plural. First steps in number, and then there's first steps in algebra, and then there's first steps in geometry. And these are all by a fellow by the name of Wentworth, and this other guy is White. So yeah, they're really fascinating names for these authors. And that's one of the other interesting things is these books are written by one person. Like this guy, he wrote like a whole series of mathematical textbooks for like primary school all the way up to like high school and college, and university. So this one, yeah, this is the one that has all the chapters in it. So this one goes up to I think 2 or 3 years also. So this one we are covering, let's see, we're just doing up, is that, what is that? Oh, the 5. Yeah, that was where when the half was brought in. So then in the 6s, it looks like they're gonna teach about the quarter or a quart, pints and quarts, pints in a quart. So that'll be fun. And then gills, gills in a pint. So they talk about different types of measurements, which is cool. So all of this first section, up to like chapter 10 is all what we're covering in year 1. And then this here is when they got the figures. This is when we are going to learn, or well, I already know the Braille numbers, but we're going to actually use the Braille. And then for chapter 10, you learn about the sign of equality, which is basically the equal sign. And then you learn about the plus sign and the subtraction sign. Now those in Braille, I never really learned those. So having copy work or written work from this other book, which is underneath here, will help me to not only learn the arithmetic, but also learn the Braille that will help me with just not doing eye strain and stuff like that. So then once you get to chapter 11, you then move on to the rest of the numbers. And they got some other stuff sprinkled in here and there, but I think they go up to 100. Like all these books go up to 100, if I'm not mistaken. And then as they do that, they incorporate other elements like measurements and other operations. Somewhere around here there's multiplication and division and things like that, but I'm not horribly familiar with this book as far as the contents because I haven't really examined it, looked at it closely. The cat's playing with the ball. So this is pretty much, does that say section? Why is this printed wrong? I gotta figure out what happened to the rest of my book, because this says Teacher's Edition. Well, this is part 3. Primary Arithmetic. Okay, so this just might be part 3 that I have. So I need to figure out where parts 1 and 2 are. Or whatever it is, because I'm not sure what this is. Yeah. This is... I don't know. I'm going to have to figure out what this is, because we're definitely not in part 3. Yeah. All the excitement of trying to purchase a book on the internet, and they don't really tell you what you're getting. Numbers from 30 to 50. Okay. Yeah, we're definitely not on those numbers yet. Yeah, so this... I do remember looking in, like, the... Oh, gosh, what do they call it? Those books. Yeah, this says part 3 right on it. 3rd year, number above 20. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to figure out how to get parts 1 and 2. Yeah. So this is part 3. That's interesting. And it's not even labeled. Yeah, so this is part 3. Which I'm not sure how that came about. But I'll have to figure out where parts 1 and 2 are. But yeah, that was an interesting little discovery. Now I'm kind of wondering if this book is complete. It's one of those things about purchasing rebound books. You never know what you're gonna get. This is Wentworth's Primary Arithmetic. This is, if I remember correctly, this is the student book that goes with the lessons in number here. So this is like the student arithmetic book that they would work through. So these are the contents, basically. So, yeah, note to the teacher. There's the boys on the fence. So, yeah, this is basically a student book that they would work through. I'm not sure exactly what is all in here. Tally marks. Interesting. Dots. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. It won't stop. Holy oh my gosh, there's a whole nother page. Oh my gosh. This is all subtraction. And not only that, you gotta take from the other number. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So this is the student book. Now, when I work through this, it will more than likely be in Braille, and I'm not going to mark answers in here. I really don't want to mark answers in here. But yeah, so this is student book. I don't know if the answers are in here. I wonder. Tables. More tables. Nope, they don't have answers in here, so I guess that's good. So yeah, those are my books. A little surprised, okay, very much surprised about this book here. I need to find out what happened to the rest of it. So, if you want to keep in touch with what goes on tomorrow, it's my arithmetic. Subscribe, like, share, and all that good stuff.